It begins with a low simmer that doesn't stop for 18 hours. As bone marrow breaks down and collagen dissolves, water transforms into an opaque, milky elixir, the working class soul of modern Japan. But this isn't ancient imperial food. Ramen arrived with Chinese immigrants in the late 1800s to the port city of Yokohama. Originally called Shina Soba, Chinese noodles, it was built as cheap, heavy caloric fuel for dock workers driving Japan's industrial revolution. The magic of the noodle is pure chemistry. What separates ramen from standard pasta is kansui, an alkaline mineral water. This alters the dough's acidity, giving the noodles their yellow hue, firm elasticity, and the ability to withstand boiling soup. Yet the broth is never actually seasoned directly. Every bowl is built on a hidden foundation called tare, a concentrated reduction of soy sauce, mirin, and umami-rich kelp. Placed at the bottom of the bowl first, it acts as the chef's deeply guarded signature. Today, ramen is a subculture of absolute obsession, where customers line up for hours to eat in silence, respecting the fleeting moment before the noodle softens. We tend to look at sushi and focus entirely on the raw fish, but the word itself actually refers directly to the rice, specifically short grain rice seasoned with vinegar, salt, and sugar. Long before refrigeration, the ancestor of sushi was a method used to preserve fish by packing it in sour, fermenting rice. In the 1820s, a Tokyo street vendor named Hanaya Yohei bypassed the months of fermentation, added vinegar directly to fresh rice, and invented the ultimate fast food for busy market laborers. The iconic nigiri form is a masterclass in minimalism. A master chef adjusts the pressure of their palm to trap micro pockets of air inside the rice, ensuring it holds its structure on the plate but instantly dissolves on the tongue. Mastering this requires a brutal apprenticeship. For years, an apprentice only washes rice and cleans. Only then are they trusted with the Yanagiba knife, where the angle of a single cut dictates how the fish fat melts. It is a cuisine stripped of all background noise, where success is measured in fractions of a millimeter and seconds of air temperature. The secret to achieving the lightest fry in the world sounds completely counterintuitive. You use ice-cold water and you barely mix the batter, leaving visible lumps of dry flour floating on the surface. This Japanese staple actually began as a foreign import. In the mid-1500s, Portuguese Catholic missionaries arrived in Nagasaki. During periods of Lenten fasting known in Latin as quatuor tempora, they fried vegetables in batter. Local cooks took this technique and completely reimagined it. They abandoned heavy Western lard in favor of clean sesame oil, thinning the batter until it became nearly translucent. When done correctly, the batter forms an instantaneous porous barrier. The food inside isn't actually fried, it is intensely steamed within its own locked-in moisture, trapped inside a brittle jacket of starch. Walk through the neon-drenched streets of Osaka at night, and you will hear a sharp, rhythmic clacking sound echoing from open front stalls long before you see the food itself. This is the soundtrack of takoyaki. Born in 1935 as a cheap, portable luxury during an economic downturn, these savory octopus balls became the definitive symbol of Konnamen, the flour-based, casual soul food culture of Western Japan. Watching a vendor work a takoyaki grill is hypnotic. Armed with two sharp metal picks, they slice through a sea of liquid batter, tucking stray edges inward and spinning each ball exactly 90 degrees until a golden outer shell encloses a molten interior, painted with a thick, sweet Worcester-style sauce and Japanese mayonnaise. They are topped with dried bonito flakes that warp and dance wildly from the rising heat. The name literally translates to "whatever you like grilled." It is a comforting, customized dish that proudly flies in the face of Japan's typical reputation for rigid aesthetic control. While older versions existed, it became a cultural lifesaver after World War II. With rice supplies decimated, families relied on cheap wheat flour rations. They mixed the flour with water, packed it with abundant cabbage, and threw whatever scraps of meat or seafood they had onto iron plates. Over the decades, this survival food sparked a friendly regional rivalry. In Osaka, the ingredients are mixed entirely in a bowl before hitting the flat top. In Hiroshima, the dish is built like a skyscraper, constructed layer by layer with cabbage, pork, yakisoba noodles, and a fried egg. No matter the style, it remains an inherently social, unpretentious meal, sliced with small hand spatulas directly from a griddle built into your dining table. In the late 19th century, Japan underwent the Meiji Restoration, a period of sudden modernization. To strengthen the physical stature of the population, the emperor lifted a 1,200-year-old Buddhist ban on eating mammalian meat. Japanese chefs were suddenly tasked with interpreting European cuisine for locals. They took the classic French veal cutlet but adapted it to local tastes, creating a hybrid genre known as yoshiku, Western-style Japanese food. By 1899, a Tokyo restaurant swapped veal for thick pork, and tonkatsu was born. What transforms this dish is panko. Unlike dense Western breadcrumbs, authentic panko is made from bread baked using electrical currents rather than oven heat. This creates large, jagged, needle-like flakes that don't absorb excess oil, resulting in a light, airy armor. Traditionally served alongside a mountain of ultra-fine, ice-crisped raw cabbage to cut through the richness, it is a flawless bridge between Eastern technique and Western ingredients. In the rural villages of Kagawa Prefecture, old-school noodle masters still practice a unique tradition. They wrap their massive mounds of dough in clean plastic, place them on the floor, and firmly stamp on them with their bare feet. Udon requires immense physical pressure to develop its legendary koshi, the perfect balance of exterior softness and a springy center. Stamping aligns the gluten networks with a level of force human hands simply cannot replicate. Unlike ramen, which relies on heavy meat stocks, udon is made from clean wheat, water, and salt. Because the noodle is so pure, it sits in a shimmering, golden dashi broth brewed from kombu kelp and dried sardines, a pairing meant to spotlight the grain. It is a comforting, minimalist dish that has sustained everyone from traveling Buddhist monks in the 900s to modern-day commuters looking for a quick, soul-warming breakfast. This is the undisputed fuel of the Japanese economic miracle, a simple ceramic bowl packed with steaming white rice, smothered in paper-thin ribbons of beef and sweet onions, poached in soy sauce, mirin, and sake. Gyuden, or beef bowl, tracks Japan's transition into a modern superpower. In the late 1800s, street vendors began simmering cheap, tough cutoffs of beef with onions to make the meat tender. It was fast, cheap, and packed with the protein needed by the armies of salarymen rebuilding the nation. Today, massive 24-hour chains serve millions of these bowls daily. The industry is engineered around terrifying efficiency. The beef is kept constantly simmering, meaning a hot, nutritious meal lands in front of you less than 30 seconds after you order. It is entirely unpretentious food stripped of all ceremony, a comforting, reliable anchor in the middle of a high-speed, modern lifestyle. Buckwheat is a notoriously stubborn, fragile grain containing absolutely no gluten. This means a dough made from buckwheat flour has no natural elasticity, requiring an immense, delicate touch to successfully roll and slice into thin noodles. If ramen is the chaotic street food of Japan, soba is its quiet, intellectual counterweight. Dating back to the Edo period, Soba developed into an art of pure restraint, most traditionally served cold on a woven bamboo mat alongside a concentrated dipping sauce called tsuyu. A true connoisseur never submerges the entire noodle. Doing so completely drowns out the delicate, earthy aroma of the buckwheat. Instead, you dip just the bottom third and slurp loudly, drawing air into the mouth to release the full flavor profile. At the end of the meal, the server brings you sobayu, the hot water used to boil the noodles. You pour this directly into your leftover dipping sauce, transforming the remnants into a warm, comforting, digestive tea. The true atmosphere of corporate Japan after hours is found in the cramped, smoke-filled alleyways beneath train tracks, where the air smells heavily of charred fat and caramelized soy sauce. This is yakitori, meaning grilled bird. It is an exercise in hyper-specialization and zero waste. A traditional shop breaks down a chicken into dozens of distinct micro-cuts, skewering everything from neck meat and skin to cartilage and liver. The culinary linchpin here is binchotan, a prized, rock-hard white charcoal made from Japanese oak. It burns at blistering temperatures without producing smoke, allowing the chef to sear the surface instantly and lock in the juices. Brushed with a sweet soy glaze called tear that has accumulated chicken flavors over years of service, it is the ultimate primal pairing for a cold beer after a grueling workday. While Western-style fried chicken relies on a heavily seasoned, thick flour batter on the outside, Japanese karaage completely flips the script, shifting the entire flavor profile to the interior of the meat. Skin-on chicken thighs are hacked into bite-sized chunks and submerged in an intense marinade of soy sauce, sake, ginger, and garlic for hours. Before it touches the oil, it is lightly dusted in a paper-thin layer of potato starch rather than wheat flour. The defining secret is the double fry method. The chicken is dropped into cooler oil to gently cook the meat through, then removed to rest. Finally, it is plunged into high-heat oil for a rapid second fry, causing the potato starch to instantaneously expand into a glass-like crunchy shell. Clean, completely non-greasy, and bursting with internal juice, it has become an indispensable staple of home cooking and the ubiquitous Japanese bento lunchbox. For centuries, the peak of midsummer humidity in Japan has been met with a highly specific, nationwide ritual. On the Day of the Ox, millions seek out a dish believed since antiquity to provide vital stamina. This is unadon, grilled freshwater eel over rice. It is one of the most technically demanding dishes in the Japanese culinary repertoire, requiring a lifetime of physical discipline to execute properly. There is an old proverb among eel masters: 3 years to learn how to fillet, 8 years to learn how to skewer, and a whole lifetime to master the grilling. The eel is filleted, skewered, grilled over raw heat, steamed to melt away excess tough fat, and returned to the charcoal to be glazed. Coated in a sweet reduction of reduced eel bones, soy, and sugar, the meat becomes so delicate it can be cut with chopsticks. Dusted with citrusy Sancho pepper, it is a timeless showcase of complexity hidden behind simplicity.